So this is your briefing for the Wednesday severe threat, and we are looking at the categorical. We are seeing, once again, that enhanced threat across much of the upper Mississippi Valley, and we see up around the Mississippi River. And we are seeing probably a nocturnal event here, not in the early morning hours, rather than it's going to be kind of near 10, 11, 12 p.m. and a.m. So looking at our hail. So we see the significant threat in Missouri, Illinois, and then parts of Arkansas, and then right along the Mississippi River. We also see that down in parts of, kind of Texas there, but that's going to be an isolated thing. But we're going to focus on what's happening along the Mississippi River. So our wind, we are seeing the wind right where that enhanced threat is. We're going to see that big line of thunderstorms moving through, and that brings us to our tornado threat. We are seeing that 2 to 5% chance in the same area, but we are looking at the 5 that is likely to be upgraded to a 10 or maybe even higher as the day goes on, as we really get a better view of what could happen. It's going to be a very powerful system as it moves through, and so we're going to have to check that out. So our discussion, there is an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms across parts of the mid-Mississippi, Ohio, and Tennessee valleys. There is a slight risk of severe thunderstorms across south-central Texas also. Scattered thunderstorms to severe thunderstorms will be possible over parts of the central Texas this afternoon, and likely from the middle Mississippi Valley east-southeastward to the southern Appalachian Mountains from the late this afternoon through overnight period. Large hail, damaging wind gusts, and perhaps a few tornadoes will be the primary hazards. So really, as we saw, tornadoes are on the lower. We still have that chance. There's still a chance of them. There probably will be a few, but there is that chance of them happening. The big thing is, though, what we're looking at is the wind and hail threat. And that brings us to our reflectivity. I want to focus on just a few hours, the evening hours from dinner time on, and showing you what produces. So as we go along the evening, we see that kind of squall line produce, and it kind of speeds up. So it originally is going east, and it dives south through Illinois and Indiana. And we see it cut through parts of Ohio, but really the whole state of Kentucky is going to be that core. Our focus is going to be on that southern tip of it, where you see the supercells producing. Yes, we're going to have strong damaging winds along that squall line, but our chance for the most severe weather is going to be in those isolated ones that start out in Missouri and make their way down across Illinois and then towards kind of that Tennessee, Kentucky corner. So that brings us to our most unstable cape, and it is a really unstable atmosphere. However, we do see this capped, and at the end we're going to look at a photograph that we could see that is going to show really that this is capped. But this is the energy, and you can really see it flowing through the day and where it's going. So keep an eye on our Tennessee, Kentucky, and northern Mississippi Valley area. And there is that highest energy, and it's feeding into that. Now, none of these storms are going to happen in that southern area down there, and that where all that's at. We still have a chance there, but that's more of an early morning hours on Thursday. But really, we're watching that energy, and it's feeding the system. So just a great visual representation of how it's feeding the storm system as it goes through. So we have our supercell composite, and this is going to show us what cells of those have the highest chance or will be supercells. So as we go through, we are really seeing supercells producing right along the Tennessee and Missouri, Kentucky, Illinois corner right there. You have to note, too, everything south of there is probably capped, and we'll check that out later on why that is. But we really see it producing, and we can see it go through, and it looks like our highest chance of supercells is going to start out in the southern part of Illinois, very eastern corner of Missouri, and then the northeastern part of Arkansas, and then into Tennessee. That is our highest chance, and that is that southern tip of that. So focusing on those supercells, those are the ones that have the highest chance of having tornadoes with them, let's look at the SIGTOR. So our SIGTOR throughout the day obviously develops, and as we go through the day, we really see a kind of explosion of energy right there. That's all capped though, but pay attention to parts of Tennessee. We see that energy combined. So you might note the SIGTOR energy is traveling east-northeast, but the storm system is traveling east-southeast. So where those two converge, we're going to see some helicity, that rotation. So we're going to see that, and that's really in the overnight hours. We can see that at 9, 10, 11 p.m., somewhere in there. And really our target area is looking right along that northern part of Mississippi, and then we see really up towards Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois. We see that really the most western point of Tennessee, and then right along that kind of diagonal right there is our highest chance, right along the Mississippi River. That is our highest chance for tornadoes. So we see that, and it fits perfectly with our supercell composite, and it fits with our most unstable cape. So that's kind of it, really looking at all the energy flow. But let's check out this photograph. So this is a great example of what could happen. So this is the HRRR, so sometimes so far out it is a little bit not so accurate, but we can tell where it's going to be capped. So we see this cap, it's that bell shape. If you look in that top left corner, you see those green and red lines. It kind of looks like a bell that goes out. There's a little blue kind of eye that shows. If you go right across, you see where the red and that green goes. Where they curve out and then come back together is where that's going to kind of hold that energy in the atmosphere. So you may notice that if you look down the bottom right corner, the kind of tornado parameter down there, it is above that EF4 plus rating. So this is something that's interesting. So currently we are looking at this, and this shows a cap, which is indicating that there won't be this big explosion of storms, but we are seeing that super high level of tornadoes. Well, if we think back to where we saw the tornadoes there, where we saw the chance of tornadoes there, and super big severe storms, it really depends on where you're at. So this is taken at a certain coordinate, and that coordinate could be capped at that time. And as we see it developing, we're seeing that convergence right around midnight. And so that's going to be a big thing that we have to focus on and look at throughout the day. And you're going to have to stay tuned to your local news station and know a weather radio, if you have it, about that area down there. What could happen? So everything's showing it's capped currently. There's another one from NAM that shows that it's not capped. Its tornado reading is off the chart. But we could really focus on that these are converging systems that are coming from two different directions, and when you see that, we see some spin. So right along that area, no doubt we're going to have big severe storms, and we have that chance for spin. That's why they haven't went ahead and put a giant chance out for tornadoes today. They have an enhanced threat of severe storms. So we can expect a few of these supercells to rotate and potentially go severe. So that is something we must pay attention to. So this photograph is showing a capped environment, but we have to keep in mind it's not capped everywhere. The further north we get, the less capped it is, so there is no cap. That's where it kind of busted through the cap. We're seeing these big, tall supercells. So we have to keep an eye on that throughout the day, but you can expect 100% severe storms, heavy wind, and a lot of hail. But a tornado threat is what we're looking at. There is a high chance of, an enhanced threat of them. We have to watch how we say that, but the chance of tornadoes there's a pretty good chance of them, but it's just where and when. So that's what they're trying to determine at the SPC and the NWS. So that about does it. So stay safe today, and stay tuned to your local weather stations so you know and are informed of what's happening.